All right, that feels good. Get those things out of here. Got the machine back. I don't know why I kept thinking I needed to be done with it here because I'm taking it home to do this, and then I'm like, just bring it back. You still have the trailer. I got the trailer till noon tomorrow. I don't know, man. I don't know. Although we get all done with the dirt that came with on a couple of spots where this, I dug in with the forks, and then Barry's got to sweep his trailer down, and since we unloaded across the street, then there's all that debris in the parking lot because I didn't bring the bucket home. I couldn't think for one good goddamn second. I couldn't think for a single solitary reason would it make any sense to go to the trouble, because I just drove on with the forks and drove away. This thing's got to be whatever. Put it on there, lash it down. Anyway, I could have come over to the trailer and he could have swept things over into the bucket, and then I could have done whatever. And the wheelbarrow, my only wheelbarrow, is here. Well, I shouldn't say that. I got a little plastic guy, but he was full of crap. The steel wheelbarrow is right there, and it wasn't home either. So anyway, we made it. No big deal. This has been settling in. Ooh, even this little hill he's rigid. Just a little bit of moisture content, a little bit of sun bakage. Not to mention when we get a big rain, this will really pack in together. And I'd talked with the neighbor, and she's cool with me feathering this out over here. They did move our delivery. We had 2 more loads coming tomorrow, but Mark called me and said, he's just hammered with guys that needed 20. Now they need 25, and now they need 30 loads. And it's like, I'm really small potatoes to the gravel pit. So I said, hey, Wednesday's fine instead. I'm going to get something to eat. My blood sugar's low. But we got to move this over to there. And none of this can get any shorter. We can only get an inch here with like a close nipple rather than the short nipple or whatever your nomenclature. But the meter hangs here, and so if we stay rolling down, we got to go down. We can go next to it, we can go back, but then we're going to have to turn into an elbow, go over, turn into another elbow, and go into this new nipple. It looks loose here, but we're going to have to go inside, thread it out of this elbow, come out here, turn this elbow off from this stick. Then we'll have the clearance to go back inside and drive it out, try to get it to come flying out of there. They use hydraulic cement, which expands just a tiny bit when it sets up. So on the inside, so even though it looks like a big gap there, you don't get any bugs coming in or anything like that. But it's going to make it tough for us to get that thing to come out of there. You could drive it down flush with the wall, but then you really can't come out and pull on it in a meaningful way. You could put a punch behind it, but you are just trying to punch on the edges of it. So the larger the punch, the better off you are, the more the edge you're going to drive. But the larger the punch, the more you're dragging on the sidewall of the hole that you drilled. So you got to have like a perfectly sized punch, which I have a couple aluminum and brass rod punches, but they're soft, so the end of them's kind of a mushroom. So if it gets too mushroomed out when you're in the hole, if you know what I mean, you never want to get overly mushroomed when you're in the hole or you get hung up. So we got all different sorts of things we got to deal with. I've also got to spin this valve off, which I think it's about to, yeah, that's the last little bit of air right before the water goes and sprays you in the face. So I got the key, and I'll turn off the water at the road. We'll plug in the lights. We'll spin that valve off. We'll put this piece of plywood that was here, and I don't know, oh, somebody took my sawhorses away, but the plywood's got the little hole in it already for that. Put him on the wall. I got a couple double gang boxes, so I'll switch that single to a double, and then I'll have to stop there until I remedy this. And once that's remedied, then I can insulate. If I can put the 2 interior corner sticks of lumber in, insulation in there, throw plywood onto that, and then make a piece with a hole for the new gas to stub out and put insulation and plywood onto there. I like my switch box location, so we'll plot that out. That'll definitely take us the rest of today to do all this. I don't even think I'm gonna, I can't re-drill that hole because I haven't borrowed the drill. And I'm supposed to leave that trailer by end of day today, actually. I thought we had the full day till tomorrow midday, but then he said he did need it back tonight. So I only have the half day. So I guess first order of business is take that machine off and park it here, and then run out with the trailer and return it. And while I'm there and they're open, rent the hammer drill that I need because mine's in the shop. And then on the way back, without the trailer or any business behind me, pull into the place and get something to eat now that it's 3:45 in the afternoon. I'm starving to death. I could eat a lunch. And then I come back with a full belly and a hammer drill. And like I say, try to get that out of there and do the re-drilling of the hole. And then actually the hammer drill could probably be left at the place on my way home tonight. And that's all the farther I'll probably get. And then tomorrow we can start bright and early with the plywood application and all the other interior things that we mentioned. We won't be distracted by the urge to do anything with any dirt because it won't be here tomorrow, so that's good. And then Wednesday, the heating installation begins. And actually Jeremy and I are on my other job site across town doing the stain on this big deck with a tree that comes through it. I don't know if you've seen that. I kind of left off of that series softly because we decided, a customer said she wanted to keep going full scope, just slow speed, because it was getting to be kind of costly, which I respect because she had a vision and I did everything I could with it. And I think it's going to look freaking sweet, and it's just a matter of, you got to do it then, you know, or you're going to change what you're building completely to do anything any less expensive. So we just have been holding off all year anyway. I've got to get the heating guys started and then feel confident in stepping away and getting that staining started, and then coming back here just to keep an eye on things and make sure everybody knows what they're doing. It's just, are they doing what Chazzy wants them to be doing exactly? And I've struggled with that my whole life. I want it to be the way that I want it to be. Otherwise, what are we doing here, you know? Okay, I'll come back and do something here, I promise. Okay, so I'm thinking about that Milwaukee M18 rotary hammer, which is an SDS Max. That's this shank type here. But for now, I'll rent the Hilti one just to get this little project done. This here is 1 1/8 in outer diameter, so I went with 1 1/4 opening, which is what it looks to me like they drilled for themselves. And they backfilled with hydraulic cement though on the inside. So I'm gonna try and keep the same elevation. There really isn't a, you know, I guess there's a point on the drill bit, right? But like, if I were to come up or down, it changes what I need to bring this nipple up tight, pulls me off center, this and that. So you want to be, if it was stacked up and they were content with it here, let's just move completely sideways without loosening or having to change or make a custom nipple or anything like that. There is some flexibility in that, but that's what we're going to shoot to do. So I'll get that laid out and then drill on through, go down and try to spin that nipple out like we said, take the elbow off, and then blast him out this way with a hammer and see what we get. Okay, so all I got to do is pick all this crap up out here now, and I can get back to work making forward progress. See, this problem arises because I'm not here when the gas company comes to make that penetration, and the homeowner is, and he authorizes it where he authorized it, and it's completely incorrect. And he costs himself all my time to go and rent what we need and come and do the repair and then fix where the original hole was bored and all to get that moved inboard of the finished wall, you know, because you can see the previous would have been right in the wall trying to attach to it and all of that. No, can't be there. So obviously he started a little downhill outside and came in downhill all the way in. And so I'm not going to be able to get to level unless I fire that drill up and ream out up on my way inside. It's just a mess. I don't do it all the time. Those guys went down the street doing it over and over and over again. Whatever their setup or what have you, they have more hands. They can put a level on the drill while they're running it. Whatever else that may mean. So yeah, I got to go out and ream this out even more, and then once I get it where I want it, got to come up with a way to hold it there, and then I got to make a big hydraulic cement repair here and go outside and make one, and then I got to collect up all the stuff that fell in behind the foam that's behind this bed of insulation here and get all of that taken care of, before I can close in the room and be ready for heat installation. And it's, you know, 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Real cool. Okay, so I wallered that professionally, and so I can do whatever I want here now. I think what I like about this is that my gap is best when I'm pushing almost all the way down straight. Sorry, that was at an angle there. So pushing it down till it almost stops. Anyway, what I'm going to do is I'm going to get some of that Zipular system tape. The clocking aspect isn't all that important right now. We're just going to try and set this back, not too far, right? But to where we're sort of flush with where the threads start. You almost never can cover up all the threads because they're tapered when it's piped so that things come in tightly and seal. So you're never going to get this edge, back to that thread where it begins. So we're going to shoot for kind of starting the thread on this plane. Then we're going to use some zip tape to stick it down straight, control that aspect of it, see that we can stay out. I may need to put something underneath this here. Anyway, we're going to get that all set up, and then we're going to go inside and we're going to mix up some hydraulic cement, which comes for this application in a little tubular tubby, and it's for repairing walls. It's designed to stop water, and it's to seal around pipes specifically, because the thing is it increases in size a tiny amount, which is in 3 to 5 minutes it's, you know, kicking off, and that will, to me, that's set up. It needs to lose its water, but it's chemically set up at that point. And that, you know, they're talking about stopping water because it swells up and it seals. So we'll get that done on the inside, which is what they did here before. If we come back and use a polyurethane, like roof and flashing, that black stuff I like to use from PL, maybe we'll use a little bit of that and try to be tidy with it. Anyway, but that'll be for later. So for now, I just got to get the inside correct after I make sure this outside is held where we want. Get around it with the, excuse me, I had to get a little something to drink. Seal it up, and then I can go back to putting that room together for tomorrow. Okay, this is what we needed to get in here to happen. Just 3 more inches over, and like I say, you're right in the middle of that intersection. It's just non-functional. In fact, I might have moved a little bit farther over, but this will be just fine, I think. And I say that because we're going to add a 1/2 inch of plywood, so you're still down to, like, there'll be room enough to turn an elbow on there, but only just. Sorry, at that angle. Anyway, got the double gang box there. I got that piece slid over the valve back on there. I had to weasel some wire down through here. You know, it's preemptively wired because, of course, I'm going to throw plywood on it. I took a photograph of the way that this is routed, and I'll take a photograph of the insulation. It wasn't worth poking rock wool in there. I just put some black Great Stuff foam. So if it's that soft in a minute when I put the piece of plywood up, which will have to go in, zoop, because we got to get zoop behind that piece of pipe. And then this piece with a, gotta have a couple holes here. I'll be here for a little bit getting that done. Gotta put the backside on this here. All things considered, I'll still be happy that it's plywood, not drywall. So anyway, let's get that much figured out, and then I want to throw all this. I'm going to back the pickup up all the way to the back window, throw everything usable in that to take home. We're done with lumber here, knock on wood. The exterior stairs I got to build will be pressure treated. A couple tread-sized things or stringer-sized things, and this 2x10 stuff here I'll probably set back here with these sheets. Hopefully they can work around those, just putting the loops in overhead. Those might be useful to make stairs here to get drywall loaded in, because drywall is heavy, and every time you're jumping down in here, the foam was light and the plywood can take the bumping on its way through the window, but drywall can't, and I don't want a bunch of chunks on it. So it'll be worth building a short pair of stairs, or set of stairs. So anyway, this area here will be cleaned out in a minute, and then I'm going to consolidate my workbench. I'm going to have to get some help tomorrow morning when they're getting moved in, and maybe have their help to, or tell them, you know, this whole thing can be picked up 2 guys, and then move the sawhorses. I'll peel the peripherals and dangly bits down and zip up the bag and whatever. Nothing you guys can't figure out for yourselves, but just saying, we got to get this and all this tangle bullshit, wires and crap out, and I'm going to sweep, because the thing of it is, frankly, if I give them a clean area to work when they're here, they should appreciate it, hopefully. But it'll also be clear that, you know, when we're done with all their work, all this mess is basically their mess. and you know, you want to see them clean it up. I don't want it sprinkled in with my mess, because then they don't feel comfortable, you know, figuring out what should be kept or left or whatever. It's just unprofessional. So let's get that much done, and then maybe I can call it a day. All right, I forgot I got to get this home run to the light switch, and from the light switch up through at least to there, and with enough of a pigtail to go somewhere in the center of the ceiling, and to get out here. Then I can cover up the wall. I gotta put the insulation back. I took photographs of this here for the building inspector, electrical inspector. I'm really sick and tired of being here today, and really irritated at how much dicking around, another stupid oversight, really cost us here. But we're gonna figure it out and fix it. There's never any problem getting things done and getting things fixed. It's being efficient. Goes right out the window as soon as one stupid mistake and oversight is made. You just got to watch out for that at every turn. If you're doing this yourself, a project like this, you've got to agonize over every small thing and just be absolutely sure of your move before you consume materials or spend somebody else's time. If you're doing it yourself, you can save yourself paying your time when you screw up, but those materials are costly. So in this case, it was almost no damaged material, but basically a bunch of extra time, a full day spent farting around fixing that situation, so I can button up this room and then get the heating guys in here with confidence. I forgot to, now that was on me, they were going to come through here with copper, and I was going to put blocks of wood to anchor and glue it up there. I won't be able to glue it, but tomorrow morning we can talk about whereabouts they need them, and I can clamp them up and they can attach to them. And then once everything's built, the clamps could be let go, and I could get a little glue behind the blocks of wood and put them back up with clamps and stuff. So it'll be unhandy to some extent, but it'll be the only thing that we can do. So I've been racing to just get as much done as possible, and this is what ends up happening. It's 8 o'clock, or coming up on 8 o'clock here. All right, back to work. There you have it. Sorry I'm so salty. I absolutely cannot stand when I know better, and we trip and fall over stuff that I would have been looking out for. I'm of a completely different mind when there's something new that I didn't realize. It's either my own stumbling block or someone else's. Actually, I'll prove it in a second. I'll go out front on our way out here. So when I know what we need to do and that we need to be careful, the fact that we're adding so much thickness and it can't be prescriptive to the surface of the concrete, but we got to remember that we're going to start far enough away at the bottom to be plumb, and it's going to mean that we need to be more. We'll just place something like this over perfectly safely, because it could have been anywhere here. If that was the side that they were going to put the meter on, it could have been over here. Just get the hell away from that other wall. I know better. And I just wasn't the one who made the call. So, and even though I can fix all of it, it's just massively irritating. Massively, massively irritating to me. Because on the other hand, you're on the hook for how much things are costing. And so if we don't want things to cost more, we let Chazzy make the calls. Okay? I just need to make the calls on it. So we're in good shape there. We'll kill the radio, and I'll go show you how I learned today a little something something. And we'll unplug this. I'm going to leave everything just as it lies. I'm going to get up ass early, and I'm going to fall down on my way out because I can't see, because I've never left in the dark like this. And I'm going to hustle over here, and Jeremy's going to meet me, and I'm going to pay him an extra amount on his day rate tomorrow, because he's going to get an early start and stick around and even stay late to help me stain this deck that we're supposed to be doing. But like I say, first he's going to come here and help me get cleaned up and everything, hopefully just as they're setting up or before they even get here. The heat guys, that's got to go on the seat, so I don't forget to return that hammer drill on my way home, or I'll owe them for a full day. Ooh, this has set up. So yeah, I'll leave it there. Whatever. This shit on the front door. So, how did I learn today? Well, oh no, first we're gonna get the electrical cord, because I love cords. Boy, is it handy. All you gotta do is run a cord. Fucking irritating. This is my water main key. It's got a pentagon-shaped socket on the end of it. To get the cover off at the ground, you use it like a lever like this. And then it's got the little doohicular doodad on the bottom that you reach down inside. See, spin off the pentagonal, and you reach down in there and you can turn your main on and off, your main water supply. Well, now this is, I thought they had replaced ours, because basically yesterday at the end of the day, to make sure I could turn the water off to get the valve off inside, to get the plywood hole as small as possible to slip on over the line, put the valve back on again. I came over here and I put this socket on to that bad boy, and I go spinning it around, and I'm not seeing the words turn. Nothing's happening. It just feels, because you got nice, this is heavy, and you got a big lever arm out here. It feels like I'm going around. I didn't go around and around, but it feels like I'm swinging wide, and if anything, it's sitting down far enough, it should be turning this. And I'm thinking, what the hell? Is that a different size pentagon? Did they replace this when they did the water? So I went down the rabbit hole this morning to try and get, now this isn't Erie County, this isn't the county water. It is their water, but the village here is responsible for this. So after I talked to the county and I talked to the village, I needed somebody to turn this off for me. I figured those guys are set up for any old scenario under the sun. Couldn't get anywhere. I still haven't heard from them. So I called the contractor that did this and couldn't get the boss, and had to say, you know, I couldn't get this uncovered. And finally he sent somebody out, and essentially he walked right up and just spun this right out. No problem. So then what's the issue? Well, I expected this to all be one piece. And when you've got dirt sprinkled in that crack and it's down in there, see, you know, you just don't know, right, that this is actually what you're turning. And so you can't get it out of there to put it in to this and feel that, oh yeah, it's definitely engaging. I said to the guy that helped me out, I said, how stupid? He said, no, a lot of them, this whole thing. I said, I thought so. I said, I thought for almost 10 years now, this key has worked just fine, and the whole top comes off of it. This is a unique, or not unique, but this is just a different type, and whatever else. So, what he's got, I'll walk all the way back over to the truck now. I could just tell you, but I gotta show you, see? It's just a hand-sized tool with that socket on there. And I picked one up, and I'll hang on to that, I guess. It's easier to carry around. Obviously, that other thing is massive. Although you can't reach down in there and turn the water. You kind of need them both. Maybe I'll get my money back for this thing. Anyway, this is what he had, right? And you can tell that you can kind of get feedback. And if you know that situation that I just ran into, well, then you know. But if you don't know, well, if you don't know, now you know, okay? And if there's dirt there, you don't realize that you are, in fact, removing that plug. And so you call all around, burn up all kinds of time, and get the guy to come down. He looks at you like you've got water on the brain. But then we both had a good laugh when I said, yeah, see, this makes all the difference. I'm not crazy. I knew I should be, you know, I knew I could expect the whole thing to be turning. So anyway, the water's still off. I'll leave it like that. Those guys will have their own key, the HVAC guys. I'll throw this on the porch. I'll close it. Garage door. I'll remember that even though it's not fiberglass insulation, that rock wool, you really don't want to disturb it at all until you've got a particle filter mask on, because it is insidiously floating around still. It's still a physical particle floating around that you don't want to breathe, and I'm sure it ain't good. Anyway, it makes me cough, and so you got to remember, rock wool is better than fiberglass, but you still want to throw a mask on. That's all I've got to say about it now. I'm so pissed off here so late, and I still got to get way up or way early and do all kinds of messing around. But that heat, by the end of the week, that heat situation being all in there is going to be awesome. All right, let's check in with those boys tomorrow morning. All right, I got the duct and precious metal loaded into the truck. Some more fill. I got the heating guys here putting that combi unit in. That gas penetration worked out, as you saw. And so I'm just gonna, now that I've got that out of the way, I'm gonna get that stuff around the corner here and over probably to here some way. I don't want to mingle it into this necessarily. This all is going to become, you know, got to make room for the egress window and all that. So I'll probably play it up a little short here, and then add a little bit more to the front so that I can sort of I can build a set of front stairs. If I get, and I still have some, I'll come all the way around the corner and come back over here, although I want to get the leaf blower. Just as a best practice, and get the leaves off of here. It wouldn't hurt much, but top this up another 3 or 4 inches, let that start sitting down. Then I get that full set of stairs from the front and set it here, try to dial it to work for that door. Those types of things. We'll just make a pass down here and see how this stuff is looking. Put some stairs here, so this is easy with the drywall, but easy for these guys too, although we had to muscle the, you know, muscle the old combi unit down. What's up, dudes? Just want to come check it out. Nope. Nobody's facing, so you guys can hide from your federal crimes and everything. Yeah, they're doing a great job. This is looking great. I won't bug them.
Complex refrigerator.
That's right. That's right. Look at this. You know the kind of money sitting here. All right, guys, keep up the good work. I'll be outside if you need me. Do not sneak up on me. I will drive over you if I don't see you. All right. Okay. It's always a bit of touch and go there, so they've been good. I'll be good to him. Ed should be working on his... all the nails that come through the subfloor have to be cut down, so he should be on the ladder trimming. And if he doesn't get to it, at some point we're going to start paying them to do it, but this is a choose your own adventure. Let me find a place to put you and we'll get that material spread out. Well, I set up and got all of this graded on camera, I thought, but obviously we needed an emergency push notification test of the emergency broadcast system that shut down my recording, so we don't get to watch how satisfying it is to, after nearly 6 months, get this filled to this point and graded to this point. There's some finish grading to do here, but that really pisses me off. I tell you, I've valiantly tried to do justice to this project by getting some camera footage in and around all the irritating hustling and you know, the multitude of things that I have to do here. It's for my own satisfaction above anything else. I want to see, it's nice to kick back after you've been a few weeks since the, you know, a few weeks down the road. I watched what I did a few weeks ago just to remind me how far we've come each time. It's really helped. I don't want to call it morale or anything. I don't need all that much help on it, but it's been satisfying to watch and come back out to the site the following week and remember, man, weeks ago we were, you know, I can see vividly where we were and everything. So I hope you are all watching and enjoying it as well. But I have no control over crap like that, and if I start moving to like using a different camera to record or multiple cameras and trying to get footage down and out and cut together, if I don't do it like the same week that I shoot it, it's just never happening. I think I've said a million times, there's other projects that I've got footage, I've covered the whole thing and just never got to it. It got pushed off my phone into the cloud and like it ain't coming back until maybe years. I don't know. So anyway, I don't have any footage of this. I apologize, and I'll see if I can get some of, you know, the last little bit of it. The backyard, we'll try again, see if we can get some of that. Anyway, back to work. Just getting some PL Max adhesive, which is my favorite. It comes in the plastic tube. I just did roughly 16-inch centers here, a nice big thick bead. They didn't want us drilling holes in this beam in this area because that theoretically compromises structural integrity. So just don't do it at all and we're probably safe. So we're just gluing and clamping, and that gives us a substrate to route all of this, all the routes that we come down here, using this web as like a chase into the closet where our on-demand water unit is at. We'll just slide them up and then they can just stick to them anywhere they want with screws. And really it's not doing much other than just, you know, I mean, the glue is not really load bearing. This is sitting edgeways on the flange, but that way in the future, if that stuff needs to be covered up, it can be just, the face can be planed out, and then you can go right along that with drywall or what have you, a little bit thicker than it would have been, and all that stuff will be out of sight, out of mind. These guys had a great first day. They are a little perturbed with the water. We're going to talk to the building inspector tomorrow. We're going to find out just exactly how and where the exhaust and the inlet can go, because we've got like proximity to window, proximity to front door, proximity to the gas meter. But overall, this will be installed for serviceability to the best of their ability. These are our zones here, 1, 2, 3, 4. And they're just going to find a way to get everything in here. And we got to make sure that they see us, I think, mess with the meter that we saved, because they want to be careful and know that we've got it, you know, working correctly so they can account for our usage and stuff here. And then I got that stuff graded outside. And I'm not sure if I told you already, I met these stairs finally, so that's handy. And I may or may not have gotten the footage I wanted here, but this can sit down with some rain at the end of the week, and we'll see where it really is. And we've got more to get, you know, so just keep letting the weather sort of sit it down, tighten it down, and then I'll go ahead and make a set of front steps and stuff. Tomorrow we're going to get the 1-inch millings. Before I leave today, I'm going to back drag this one more time. I need that trash actually cleaned up at the edge of the garage. We'll get a big pile of 1-inch millings here to base the driveway with, and we're going to go over in this region for a car park. And then I got to scrape the corner here, but we're going to get some like 9/16, some ultra fine sticky grind millings, and we'll throw them right on the road there. And that will be what we top dress the driveway with. It's going to come in tomorrow morning, and hopefully by midday, early afternoon, I'll get it on there. We'll try to get some footage of that. And then that can chill and settle. And when we're all done, like I said, we'll get the big roller and we'll roll it all out. This is how I wanted to. This is good. Ed talked to the neighbor here for me and did a little public relations, which is not my strong suit, believe it or not. We got this feathered over here, so this will be handy. They can get back to the property line eventually. We'll get it seeded for them, but far easier to mow when you plane that surface like that. And this apparently is tightened up. I'm not really sure. They can't thread the other end of it in place. They may have to live with it where it is, because I can turn this, and that hydraulic cement bites because it swells. It bites into that. Oh, that works. I love that stuff. It's so sick. Sick. All right, back to work. Well, I didn't get any footage of the grading along the side, but I'm going to get some footage of the driveway. We're going to use a 1-inch filtered millings here as a base. I'm going to come in a few inches shy of where I want to be overall. And then we'll get that real nice and fine. I know it looks gray, but we actually leaf blew off the driveway and it got all dusty. But that's a real nice, fine, sticky grind out there on the street so it doesn't get dirty. Keep my dirt clean. And what was I going to say? Oh, and so when I open that pile up, it should be nice and dark black, I think, on the inside too. Which, of course, fades over time. But the point is, we end up with a real nice, and then we're going to have a car parked to the one side. And I think, if anything, we got more than we need by a little bit, but I don't want to jinx it. Hopefully I didn't. All right, we'll buckle you in and see what this looks like.
There's the longest take on planet Earth. I had to go get gas, and then I lost the fuel line. Forgot about you guys there. Hopefully you were able to endure. But we got a nice cursory grade up here. It seems high, but this is all going to come up. We got to have fill up all here, and you want, most importantly with a driveway, plenty of thickness and the ability to reconstitute it in the future. Periodically, you want to come through and fluff it up, redistribute, and grade it down flat. And if it's very thin, then you're all the time dredging this crap up into it, making a big pig mess after you spent good money on it. So, like I say, you want a nice, good, packed, solid base. We had a little extra, so we went down the side. He'll have a place to put his garbages or pull another car in. And when we come back with grading material, we can feather it out here, way over to there, square up the look of this little area. It won't hurt that the shoulder of this stuff is actually under the grading material. And it's a nice lace then. This goes down and over in. Grading comes back up on top. Both of them, when you roll them tight, will be nice and hard enough to drive on. Then you do your topsoil to the extent that you want grass. But again, you can drive right over in there. You get service like this or anything else in the future. It mushes the grass a little bit, but you don't sink to the axle. And this makes a nice place to pull over and stay out of the way of the main driveway here. We want to avoid building up anything against the tree bark. So we'll have a shoulder down off the edge here with fill. And it's way high up and down to the neighbor. Now, we landed a foot higher here overall with this house. So but you want the high ground here. We made the high ground here with the amount of money that we spent, the fact that we could make ourselves on the high ground and get a nice downhill slope down and away. It's just money. It's just absolutely what you want. So I don't want to bury the neighbor fence, but this is what you get here. And some of these, I don't know if it's the neighbor's trees and bushes and crap in here, but I would clip all that down, cut all this back, and we got to get those bushes and branches off the roof of the garage. But anyway, we're also going to need to pay a little bit of attention out here at the edges and get this dialed. And I'll probably don't tell anybody, but we're going to water this with a little bit of petroleum distillate of some kind to reconstitute, tighten it up and roll it, blend it into to the road, because otherwise you'll be walking it, it'll be dragged away constantly when you're pulling in and back and forth. But it's totally possible to do. We just want to let the rain get on it now, set everything down tight this weekend, and then we'll take a peek at this next week. So back inside, see what those guys are up to. Let's take a little peek here, guys. Heck yeah. Everything's tucked in bed. Snug as a bug in a rug in here. This is the tightest space you guys have ever put one of these in here?
Yeah.
Never before? Have you ever?
Never.
All right. It's a feat. Yeah, right? Just the one time was enough. Just the one time. Just for me. Next time I want you guys to do my install, but I promise I'll make you more. I'll make you. Well, because the thing is. All right, these guys are under the stairs, or the one guy's here getting those like that. I thought we were going to use pre-made manifold and that my centers had been on the right layout for that, but there's some other considerations here, so that's going to be all Pro-Packs, and it'll be fine, organized and easy enough to get to. Over here they got this stuff down to a point where we had to tip that water down again so it's coming straight in, and we have room for what we need there. The water meter, the water company came out and talked to us about how they need that to be. Their youngest guy, who's quite talented, is doing the electrical, but this is a case of where this is looking real nice, but I think the BX lets this down. You really want, in my mind, I don't care that it's flexible, whatever this elevation is, that's the elevation I want to be at before I turn up here. Same for over here. That's whatever the elevation that is, that's the elevation that I want to be at before I turn up vertical here. Over here, this line, if it were routed in this upper hold down, would be more, and the hold downs, they could go on with some kind of a layout. I will probably fiddle with that a little bit if I get to it. I don't want to ask him to redo it, and it'll work because it's electricity and it'll get there. But if you want to know, what the sort of the weakest link here is in the routing of this stuff. It's just something that I like to keep super clean. When you open this up, it should be magnificent if you're going to spend days and days here. So I may fiddle with it a little bit, but overall it's plumb, level, and square apparently to the eye, and things are going to work out. We got the plywood getting clamped up, and I put it down this side. We're going to run on both sides of this beam, and we got our exhaust stuff outside. I think you saw him working on while I was grading the driveway. So So this is what the layout looks like, and it's why we cleaned up down here, because I mean they need all this. That's my stuff, but they need all this, and they haven't done any of the PEX routing above. They're going to use a large size hole to do those back and forth, instead of trying to get it to turn through the thickness of the joist through a hole. It's just a little bit bigger than the PEX route itself, you know. And they got this guy to unwind it. But again, you're going to want all the room that you can get down here to do these things. When you get all done and you clean all up, it looks like, you know, great, but you can't imagine where the money went, maybe, or the time, or how things, you know, we'll see the evidence of the work and the staining or the marks on the floor and stuff. But I just think it's important to get photos and video when another operation is set up, and see how much of a mess, or how spread out that is, basically. You want to appreciate all the things that go on when you're not around, when you hire things out, because it's just a lot of work. Even though when people do the best job and they clean up after themselves, it doesn't look necessarily like there was a lot of effort. It all seems very straightforward and obvious, but getting all these little pieces of copper made and stacking this thing all up, and then, you know, you want to mock things up, but you've also got to be able to get the tool in there to commit. But when you can commit with the tool, you want to be sure beyond a shadow of a doubt, because it's a commitment. And then you put everything all together, and then you put it all in there, and you find out it didn't work for one reason or another. And so order of operations, especially when things are tight like this, super important. Come up with your sub-assemblies that you know you can make, take them down, build them, put them back. This cabinet comes out, it can be disconnected and taken out, and then you really got more room to work there if need be. But that's going to be a major overhaul in the future if somebody needs to go that far. Hopefully they just need some seasonal maintenance, light, just to keep it in tip-top shape. I got to get another sheet of plywood to make the last little piece on the other side of the beam, and I'm kind of struggling for things to accomplish. We got some rain outside, which helped sit that asphalt down. Get the rest of the garbage in. I could drag the trash out to the road. We're going out of town this weekend. We're going to pick something up, and we're going to get the radiators for the second floor here. So I had to make arrangements. I'm going to get the truck detailed inside so the cabin's comfortable for my fiance and I to take a road trip in the work truck, which is not the best idea in the world. We got to make sure that clears the meter when we connect up. Oh, I could build them a front set of stairs. Maybe if I'm getting a sheet of plywood on my lunch, I will get 2x12. Man, just an 8-foot would do both stringers, and there's enough here. That's a 2x10, I guess. There's enough there to do one stringer, but I'd want to do it 2x12. So I'll get an 8-foot 2x12 and an 8-foot 2x10. They want, actually I should get two 8-foot 2x12s, because they want stairs that are quite wide here. So we'll end up with 3 or probably 4 stringers. So yeah, 4 short stringers and 1, 2 steps, I think will do it. So 2 2x10s and 2 2x12s pressure treated, and a sheet of CDX, or a sheet of B C plywood, and then we'll be back. Hey, all right. Back on the job site. That was a rhyme. What do you know about that? I forget how much of this we did or did not look at. I've got the exterior staircase lumber here. It will have riser covers as well, unlike the old staircase. It'll be as wide basically as this entryway, and it will be, like I said about the other one actually, but probably the final staircase for some time. I'm going to build it so that it's easy to use that 2x8 as a riser cover without ripping it. I'll make a number of stairs here that get real close but not quite down into the dirt. We'll either throw a plate on the bottom of it or some feet on the bottom of those, or we'll bring the dirt up or whatever, but we'll bring it in to work out real nice. But we do need more material here. As you see this exposed edge of the driveway, we want to be kind of coplanar and fill from about where I'm standing over to there and make it all like and deepen it. That will then allow me to tease this. Once I'm built up to that height to about here, then I can drag off to me, scrape the surface off, take some of the height out of that big roll up from the road, and pull this over to where it's a straight line from the edge of the house, you know, right through here, which they're already kind of looking for because they're more used to being less concerned about rolling off the shoulder of the driveway. And we're going to fill on the other side of it as well. They just can't get to it quite fast enough. These are our cast iron radiators. I went to Pittsburgh over last weekend, picked up a couple things. On the way back, I got these. I really like the look of them. I love that it was a group of 8. Most of them are 6 segment. There's one 5 segment right there, and then there's this 4 segment and another 4 segment one that's about, the shortest ones that I left at the, sorry, I was dropping my subfloor glue. We're going to do all kinds of stuff on this little segment now. So I left that one to be flushed just to see what flushing these would be like. Now at my house, mine are old steam radiators with an inlet on one end and an outlet. And an outlet. And an outlet. Inlet, no outlet. I'm kidding. We've done this already. These are steam single connection radiators. And I got all the way. It was a big choreographed, orchestrated scenario getting home in the truck. I took the truck to Pittsburgh. That was a real scenario there. The headlights were so dim. It was raining. It was pitch black, overcast skies, after dark, through the valleys, hills and valleys. Just having a little sip of the bull. Anyway, we got home. However, I didn't realize they only had one connection until I got to the radiator place, and he goes, how the hell are we going to flush these? So I left it with him because we'd unloaded the one anyway for testing. We'll see if he says whether or not he can do anything meaningful. But the way that you connect these to hot water is with a particular type of like one-way valve. Well, not one-way valve, but a single. It's a, hang on, sorry. Had to hook up battery power because I got to tell you, I drove over my phone right before we went out of town. And so this is a whole new phone. We're going to have some hiccups here on missing things that occurred when I couldn't record for a couple of days. It was a whole thing. So anyway, I had an extra battery pack on that phone that also got driven on. Yes, driven on. It fell off my truck when I went around the from one driveway to the other, getting ready to leave. I'd left it on the toolbox and it fell off in the street, and either I or someone else drove on it. Ruined my extra battery pack, so we're back to the Monster Milwaukee battery extra pack. Now, the way that we hook these up to hot water is with a fitting that threads onto there. It has an in and an out connection on it, and then it has a probe that floats all the way down a good ways and supplies the hot water, which of course rises up and contributes its heat to the space, and the cool water comes down. And concentrically around that hot water delivery probe, the cool water concentrically is drawn back because the pressure is assisting that, along with the convection activity, or whatever you want to call that, the heat rising inside. And so you supply hot water to and get the cooler water back from a unit with one connection like this. So I got to ask our good old boy, very good priced, relatively, what do I want to call it? Very efficient heating guys that I got specifically because they had the best pricing, to kind of jump through some hoops here. And so we got to be careful with those pressures, because we're working with pre-existing kind of ideas of cost to this project. And I had said I wanted to do this, but I'm hoping that they can source basically this valve without too much trouble for us. We're only going to install 4 of these. The other ones I'll set aside for myself. We've got some refinishing on the exteriors to do at the very least. We'll get those sandblasted. And like I said, hopefully they don't mind. We're going to get these up and installed. Well, not installed, but set up physically upstairs, I think, without needing the guys to do that much. But we've got that sort of brewing. However, we were able to get our gas meter installed. The riser for the water valve got covered with the asphalt milling, so we're going to have to detect that and get a new riser that's even riserer, the risening. We're going to extend up the riser so that our access cover is right at the surface of the driveway, like it should be now that the driveway is so much thicker. We got a good amount of rain, although you can see here we've only got this much softness in the sense that my pickup sank that much there, and that's what we're kind of looking for here even before we roll things, so that in the future we can support all kinds of activity on our lawn here, and this is what you want at your house if you can help it. So that's a good indication of that. Now these guys worked on Saturday after I left, and we had some issues here. A little sip of the bowl, and then I'll talk about this a little. Now listen, overall this is great work. I appreciate the pressure and frustration of getting all this stuff packed all up in here. You guys are doing a good job of that. This is my condensate. He's a little cockeyed because he probably ends up right on the center line of that route there. But this is where I kind of think I want to go into the wall here, go into this, within there, fall into the center line of this wall, and go over and empty the condensate out kind of passively like that. But I think we talked about already how these electrical lines should have been routed. The horizontal should be at the same elevation as the pecker head or whatever you want to call that thing on the side of that. That's kind of what it is called. All this stuff, I want it in the ceiling. Now, over there, they were worried about the gas line, which I get. But, I mean, essentially, I also want a radiant loop in this entryway ceiling, which might be too late now. I should have mentioned that, I guess. But all of this here, weaving up into there and going into there is one thing. But over here, I can't finish this ceiling now because of these routes here. This all has to go in through there and then up and then over through here and then down and then over to there. Sorry about my camera angle here. But that all has to happen on the other side of this. They may have gotten freaked out about the end of this joist here. But like this joist can be cut back to flush with this here with the Sawzall, making that one layer. And the other side of this one here could be sliced up and removed there, meaning that, or leaving you with the ability to work up kind of at that angle there. We could take a lot of that top plate out to be placed back later just to carry the drywall. We can make all kinds of access here if you let me get in there and do it for you. But if you're here and you're working on the weekend, you're not going to be able to, necessarily get that done unless you're doing it yourself. So they went ahead and struck out on their own there, and that's actually a good way to put it. They kind of struck out there. So we're going to have to rethink our inks on that. Now, the other thing is, this just doesn't look good. It just, I'm sorry, but I think everybody would agree, especially plumbers. The best looking plumbing is plumb level and square. Everything's nice and squared off, even if we're working with flexible materials here. And we went with a high frequency of hold downs to keep these from looking poorly. But you want to come up with a convention. If we're going to set the first one tight to the steel, and then we're going to go down to the right or whatever, we're going down to the left, down. We're going to cascade down, and then we're going to copy that at the same interval over and over and over again. And we've just got a bunch of looseness and randomness here, and, it's unfortunate. Now, I like a bell hanger, they want to call it. I don't know if they have any here. Just anything, yeah, over here. Or the base of it's like a bell, see? But that gets my center line far enough away to fully clip foam insulation around a given run. Now with these types of hold downs here, yeah, we're trying to keep it back behind the face of this here, which is on one hand kind of nice, but I can't fully encapsulate that with insulation. Yes, I could put some insulation, some soft bat or something on that if I'm going to frame in over top of it and finish it someday. So it's 6 1/2 dozen. Now, I can leave that. I'm sure they didn't want to go from copper to PEX just to get through this and then go right back to copper just for the sake of nice, long, straight. I mean, that's what I had kind of pictured was copper here, but I'm sure they kind of didn't like going to PEX, going right back to copper. So we could stay with PEX if, we've got this much happening now, but I really needed to be organized more straight and more, like we're in a ship or some other commercial kind of a installation that doesn't look too farmer-esque, I'll say. I grew up as a farm kid, so I can say that. It just looks kind of farmery. It'll work. Of course, I told them everything's hooked up the way that it should be, the right sizes, that not too long of lengths. Everything's got space to work on and all of that. But I've got steps that come later that I'm going to do that I'm seeing we've got problems now dealing with some of the, especially this here. So we're going to try to come together on that as soon as they get back to me. They got a lot of the overhead stuff in place, but Ed bugged out before he got all the nails down, and he only just got to these like today or yesterday. So they couldn't stay and get all of that and do our startup, I don't think. We've also got to have the water turned down at the street like I was talking about. It's buried now. So we got early next week water being turned down. Then they can have their water supply. I believe the gas is probably on. Maybe not. And, oh yes, the gas to this unit goes up there. And there's the valve for that. That's the valve that'll go over to the oven eventually. So anyway, we got to get some things, orchestrated, and then they can come back and do our startup. That would mean that our basement floor and our first floor is heating. And for a while there, we could get a sense of what that means for the second floor, which I'm in a hurry to do because we could maybe slow down or sideline those radiators. I could put, those in my inventory for now. I don't mind having them for my place or holding off, but I wanted to get all this stuff get the basement and first floor startup to happen. And then we'll see, because we're just kind of feeling this whole second floor old radiator situation out. I want to be ready to execute something with that, but I don't want to have to do it if we don't absolutely have to do it, because we're trying to be careful about the costs here. Then, what else have we got going? Yeah. Chazzy Bo Bazzy. We got that toilet and stuff cut back, the tub and stuff cut back here. This work that they were doing before kind of cleaned back to its essence. See what we can and can't work with there when we come to plumb. But of course, everything starts with getting that subfloor repaired up here. So I think I talked a little bit about some of the little pitfalls we had. This is subfloor, that's underlayment. So we got a piece of subfloor in as discussed to this point, subfloor glue like this, and ring shank nailed down with the pass load. Then over here, this did not want to do anything with this face frame because it's caulked in and finished and they're used to it. I mean, the shingle or the hinges are nailed. It's got that heavy enamel paint on it. It's covered with black mold, but didn't want to disrupt things here. So weirdly, or like unconventionally, and you can tell I'm a little frustrated by that because working without a floor in there initially, in and around this with a tool belt on, trying to get ready to do this, we couldn't just take the face frame off, take the door jamb out, and slip in a piece of subfloor, all one piece here, and then get all of this put all back together again. I mean, this here isn't going to be something that you finish like this. You are going to want to take this all away and put one whole piece of drywall up on there. And at that point, I mean, you're trying to, or you can't see because you can't get the piece of drywall weaseled in here to finish that wall. And so you get down to the end and you're forced to remove this, and you realize all of the song and dance that you went to work around it this whole time was for naught, because in the end it has to move. You know, or in the end you have to deal with a raw hole here that you'd have to put 6 drywall seams in, or at least 2 or 3, whatever, to get the piece in place and deal with it. So I'm not doing any drywall finishing on this one, so I think we're going to come to realize that when we never get back to doing anything ever about that, which is what will probably happen here. So we put the first what we did was, at least, here's a good practice, if you can make the entire necessary piece out of one sheet of plywood, do so. Figure out what would fit in here and make it. Then it can be cut into multiple pieces. Starting with, we cut it right underneath this face frame. And when I cut it across there, I cut it at a 45-degree angle so that the one edge sort of sits onto the other ledge, and we can put a bead of subfloor glue or even construction adhesive if you'd rather along there, and it gives you a bunch more deflection protection, additional to the fact that we also blocked it like this. So right under that edge, like this has the angle's under. I'll get to this, how this screwed me, because I'm rushing to get out of here the other day. I should have put this angle on this way. It's the best practice in trimming and stuff like that to install a piece with an undercut like this, and then put your other piece into it and down, and it will force itself sort of coplanar. If you put the relief angle on, the opposite angle to this, and you're coming in here with a piece, it continues when you push it to skate up and out, and if you're not careful, you can end up with a catchy edge there, and you just got to mess with it more. So this is a best practice, except first we did that one. We were able to slide it in underneath the face frame, and it had the under angle like this, the back angle on it like that, and we blocked it. And then I stuck that one in there and had to make another cut in it here because we couldn't sit it down past the door trims and the jamb and all of that here. Now, I can leave the trim in the room, slice the door jamb free, pop this trim off out here anyway because we got to do a wall repair, and slice behind the jamb with the Sawzall to where the jamb can just be, because we had a plinth block here, whatever you want to call this here, we don't have trim that goes all the way down in our way, happily. So just the jamb has to go that way an inch. So if we cut the jamb free, we can just tap the base of it out that way an inch. The top can stay. We can do the same thing over here. If we just pop this off, this is what we had, you know, at the bottom of these trims, very fancy trims. Just take those away briefly. I set them all aside in some cases here already, and just kick the jamb away, and then we can sit that piece down in place. Or you can put that other angle on here, and then the piece can go underneath the jamb and then sit in, and then you can babysit this edge and hope to get what you want. Now the issue is I can start and cut that angle here, but I'm gonna have to stop short of the wall by 5 or 6 inches and then try to finish that angle with the oscillating tool. And so you start playing around here. We were in a hurry, and I had to duck out because we had some stuff we had to get done personally. So anyway, blah, blah, blah. Long story short, I have yet to decide whether I'm going to recut that and slide the piece under the door jamb. I don't think I am. I think I'm going to start here and take these trims off and cut back what I need of the wall to be cut back so that a full sheet of drywall can be used to do the repair here. And then it'll allow me to cut the jamb free and move it briefly. None of this stuff is that hard to deal with moving. But anyway, I get the final subfloor repair in here. And then I got a piece of underlayment that Ed made already. It looks like he did as I asked and went for seams that aren't stacked on subfloor seams and the most even sort of surface area that you can get. I don't like to see a massive piece and a little sliver or anything like that. Unless the whole room is basically one sheet and all you do need is a little bit of a sliver. It's still kind of nice sometimes if you can help it to make kind of evenly sized larger panels just to keep stuff from being a fine little weak little strip, little weird little piece in a lot of cases. So he did that over there, and then it looks like one full sheet can be modified with a notch here and kind of slide into that place. If we're tight there, which we are, we can put a piece of that on the floor and use the flush saw to sort of just, it'll take, 5-10 minutes, with a nice sharp brand new carbide blade, and just take that right out so where subfloor will slide in. And in this case, subfloor will flex to go right in and underneath there. Underlayment will flex to go right in there, unlike the subfloor did. Or would, I've also got a few lights that I snagged because I couldn't see a damn thing in here. That was a deal this weekend. I don't know how long it's been. You get a 2.5 and a 5 maximum output M12 battery for $199, $200. You get your choice of things, but I picked this light free. So I got 2 M12 batteries and this rocket light for $200. I did it again and got that light over there with a set of batteries. And then they had get one 5 amp hour M18 battery and pick from a variety of things. And I got this work light that Pinchy's, whatever. And that was for $100, or I think that was $200 again. So I spent $600 and got the better part of $1,000 worth of stuff if you were to pay worst case MSRP on everything at some point, which was a good old deal. And now I can see something in here, believe me, when I turn the lights on. But at this point, I'm going to shut up and do something about this floor, maybe be out here on this wall. I got some other things I got to maybe go and get. I just am all jammed up from not having my phone, but we got to keep things moving and get ready to plumb potable water. Not sure yet how long it's going to be till the heat guys come back, but they've got enough of their system in for me to see where I can and can't be and where I'm kind of headed to get connected to potable water. And so tomorrow's Friday and it's late Thursday, but we're going to do a little bit here and do some other stuff. Oh, tomorrow I'll probably kick that front steps together so that you can come and go out the front door again, and that'll be all before the rain this weekend, hopefully. So that's that. So let's see if we can get some of that footage in, and then we'll cut this baby together and call her done. All right, if you couldn't follow what I was saying before, basically I needed the other angle on that piece, like this. So I set that up and was able to cut, like I said, over to about here, and then I set my square, which is aluminum, so you want to be careful. My speed is also 45, and I use it as a guide for the flush saw to sort of get that started. If anything, overcut it. Cut it at a larger angle rather than a shallower one, because you can always, like, I'm going to put some construction adhesive or some subfloor glue here. Got this all cleared off. Got the old glue beads. I'll get those sliced up with the oscillating tool. But this way, see, I haven't got to move the jam. I can go to about here. We got to get down to here. But then I can go under the, trust me, I can go under the jam like that. And then over here, we'll sit down like this. And we can jimmy this around and get it, squared out, glued, nailed, flush. It'll pull in nicely there. And then we've already got the blocking, like I was saying there, to support this edge, but it's certainly easy enough to cut it with an angle, and we got to really massage and tease that in with glue and nails so that we haven't got any kind of whack edges or anything like that. But that'll get us to that point, and then I'll leave Ed to make the other piece of underlayment. I'm giving him as much as I can do that I can count on coming back right, although he insists on kind of doing half of what I asked in those circumstances, and then jumping into something that's a little beyond his capability, and we just continue to have that struggle. really, I don't use customer supplied materials, and I would rather not use customer supplied labor. But Ed's a friend, and this whole thing would be far more expensive if he wasn't able to help and he doesn't have anything better to do. I had hoped that he'd be learning and deferring to me more than he is, but we're getting there. We're making progress. So word to the wise, don't expect to work for your contractor unless you're really good at, honoring their experience level and contributing. Please contribute, But then you want to defer to somebody who's been hired and paid well to know what it is that we're doing here and to lead the charge. So I'll get that placed, leave off there, and probably come out here and see if I can open this wall up. Okay, well, I can see now why the plastic stack didn't fall straight down and out of the roof when I had it cut off and stuff all prior to this. It's very likely that it's just this old sink drain that I guess does go downhill. You know, and for the day, it's kind of the right stuff. Although it's black pipe, looks like 1.5 inches, no, 1.25 inches. So it's like really small and made of something that's going to build up and rust over time. I bet you I cut him off. So my thinking is we got a we've got a bearing here. For some reason this is 2x6. No, it's packed out 2x4 with extra on it for some reason, which made the jamb extra thick. Oh, no, this isn't an addition, so I don't know what that was about. So we do have a plate on the subfloor. Anyway, I can just cut this off here, and that stub will continue to hold up a lot of the weight of this cast iron, because he's not going to want to hear me tell him that you would just replace that while you're right here. Although it does go all the way through the attic and up. I mean, it's too bad that we don't have the elbow room and I haven't got the trust. I wouldn't expect to be able to really lean on them to replace that up with plastic. So believe it or not, we'll likely just leave it stub hanging it up. Trying to think. Yeah, there's like that, and then that piece that we threw across the joists where this turns horizontal and goes over to the outside wall of the basement. That's really holding up the weight here. Oh, we're going to get up and through the subfloor and glue in the toilet flange in the bathroom here. That will help support some weight, so there won't be any catastrophic collapsing here. But I will cut that off. The electricity must go to the lamp on the wall. Ye old bulb and socket, which is another sort of unfortunate series of events that we'll leave, but I think we're going to do that much. It's not really a kitchen, or not really a bathroom renovation. Someday someone can gut all the walls on the inside of the bathroom. Maybe that's a good way to think about it. Someday someone can gut that bathroom, and then from the other side they can get and probably swap between there and working up in the attic, get the rest of that stack swapped out, and the electricity can be rerouted and whatever else they want to do there. So that makes me feel better. I don't need to do everything right now. I just cannot stand to bury things that will be an absolute living nightmare, or the same exact work to come back and do later. So you want to be thinking about that. That went right to that crack, which puts me on plenty of anchor, point. In fact, this sheet, I still think you're going to end up wanting to, you really can't finish mud next to, enamel trim. I didn't pull it off right now because it would have probably made him sick to see that we have to go and do that. But eventually when we come to cover this up, that trim's coming off. This is going to finish being cut down over to there. The trim will go back onto this sheet of this plaster or whatever, which it's kind of like drywall. I'm not really sure what we're dealing with here. A substrate board with a heavy layer of plaster. It's definitely plaster. It's very heavy. Anyway, that little bit more will be replaced, and we'll slide behind the stringer cover. Beauty. I should have let go and come out of there, but I'm not going to fight it. I think you can just kind of carefully install the sheet, because drywall will bend enough here. Get all these nails cleaned up, all this insulation. I'm going to put my mask right back on again, load it all into a garbage can, clean this area out and vacuum it, and that'll probably get me to the end of the day. I don't think there's any merit in that register. If we put a heater here, I guess it'd be right inside the door. That's another good spot for one of these little babies. This should probably go away. See, this is the thing, because like it had always been toilet sink because the vanity's there. But if you ask me, it should be toilet by the window, sink first, which would mean, and that was notched in at a later point, something with whatever this tile was for a bathroom, and whatever actually when they added thickness to the wall. Maybe it was to move over it. I don't know what happened here. Let's not get too out of whack. But, this is where we had planned to chase the heat here and put a radiator there, which would kind of obscure that hole in the wall, and you could leave that unfinished a bit and you'd get away with it. But this would have to go away. And then if you did toilet over from there, it crowds the sink over some. The sink center line was never on the center line of the... It could move over 2 or 3 inches to be the center line of the vanity. Or do we put that little radiator here next to the window, which is a nice place to put it. It has a vinyl insert, so there's some, R value in this window rather than being a ratty old wooden window. But it definitely crowds the sink well away from the vanity, so it forces your vanity over. And there's room for a toilet. But I still think that goddamn toilet paper holder is going to be in the way. We have a few extra tiles, so if that could get surgically removed, it could be reused in here. I mean, there's just more to do here than I think Ed realizes to sort this all out and make it all work out. If you want the radiator, or you could do the radiator between them, which is, you know, if you did the radiator between them, I could build a little tray thing that sits flat on top to make a little bit of a surface for a curling iron, a flat iron, toothbrush. I guess I got that stuff there too. But maybe that could keep your sink under the mirror. Your toilet, try to get it in there before the toilet paper dispenser, which they've lived with up until now. The door still swings in over here, and put a little radiator in between, which would mean we could get rid of that. Basically, this started with shall I or shall I not rip that steel box out, because it could disturb that tile wall, you know. So anyway, that would make our heat here, and we could get there. This was our chase over there. The door to the basement stairs is here, so we'd take our heat for this radiator up, turn, we'd come through and up one side or the other of this, and we'd go in and out through there. So this will likely stay open until we come up with a solution for our radiator. But I guess, like I say, now I'll clean everything up. I'll continue to investigate that. You may see me rip it out or not. Sometimes I'll just wait overnight and think about it. So, but let's get this cleaned up. All right, I'm fairly content with that. This isn't just, I was looking here and felt that it might have been just coped and applied, but it's actually pocketed because it's smooth on the back. I can't feel that, and it's part of the stairs. It's structural, to some degree. I cleared it behind, so we've got the space to, again, like slide our drywall in there. It likely won't be as thick. Better than being, you know, better than having to try and install something that's thicker than what came out of there. It'll be a little shy of touching the back of that, but someone will be free to, although when we get there, I got some shim stuff. I got an 1/8" ply or a 3mm ply. We could rip it up and stick it to these, to this framing to set a 1/2 inch on it. See if we can't get a 5/8 sheet just to fix this up and get real close to that. It still has to be something that'll slide behind there, but if it's close enough to be caulked. This is a 48" here. Weirdly, oh, it must be going downhill. It's fairly sure. I went to 48 over here, I went to 48 off of the landing in the 2 spots I could get to, and then I went from the one with the chalk line and pulled through the other one, and pulled the chalk. That's one of the benefits of the chalk line. I guess you could do it with any straight edge, but anyway, I'm fairly certain that I've got a square sheet there, but I'm going to just verify. We're at just over 48 here, which leaves us room for taping. Just over 48 there. Yeah, so that's good. It's just an optical illusion here. I went back down the stairs, fall to my death, but something is whack. Anyway, we'll be able to come up just shy to this of this surface, and then hopefully do a nice and easy kind of blend that rolls down almost to here and rolls over almost to here, leaving this area to basically be filled. And you won't know. I mean, this here needs a lot of work, and so none of this is going to be any more than just putting the sheets up and walking away from it, but it should be in good shape when we're done. And that's that. I left that for now. It is wrapped with asbestos, so I think it's going to ultimately get ripped out of here, but I'm not feeling it right now. I'm going to hit these lights, trundle these garbages down and out to the front lawn because it's garbage day today. Then we'll have fresh and empty garbages for tomorrow, for Friday. See what we can get done tomorrow, and then I will cut this stuff together and post it. All right, hang on. All right, I've got my most expensive set of sawhorses set up, and I laid out a 3-step stringer. My rise, we're upside down here. My rise height is 7¼ which will accommodate a full 2x8 on the front of the lowest, second, and third stair. And then when we add the 1.5" tread to this and to this and to this, with an 8.5 run, taking an 1.5" for the riser pushes it off an 1.5", so you still have a surface that's 8.5, and then with a 9¼ 2x10 you have an 1¼ overhang nose on every stair after the riser. And so 7¼ by 8.5, 7¼ 8.5, 7¼ 8.5 is a nice set of stairs to make if it will work in your application, because you can use a full 2x8 for a riser, a full 2x10 for a tread. It'll have a little bit of a nose. It meets code, and so if you wanted to go with a 2x12 for a step, which is what this is, I'm making the stringer out of a 2x12. If you wanted to use a full one of these for tread, then you can just add an 1 or 2 to your run, so that you've got nose still, but you could have a deeper stair if that's important to you. It wasn't that important to me. 2x10 suits me just fine usually. Or extraordinarily long steps you'll find in commercial and places that are higher traffic and stuff, so they sort of accommodate everybody, but they're irritating to me because I end up wanting to do 2 or 3 at a time, because I'm just not going forward to the degree that I want to go up, or I'm not going up to the amount that I'm moving forward. Something there. Anyway, the aspect ratio of a 2x12 tread annoys me, so I normally build my stairs with a 2x10 tread. We'll make one of these, we'll trace it, we'll make the other one. Oh, we're going to make 4. Yeah, so I got 2 2x12, so we will end up needing both of them. I'll make a second one here, make 2 more, and I'll put them up on there with that type of hardware, and then we'll make the other pieces and set them on, just like we made the stairs before. I debated whether I'd even cover this, but there's nothing else going on today, so you guys are free to fast forward if it's not tickling your fancy. Anyway, let me see if I can get like maximum coverage here without having to look at the, there it is. Geez, Chazzy, why don't you have better production value on your videos? Well, it's just the whole thing. All right, word to the wise. Oh, drop your sunglasses. Make sure you do not try to make stringers with a dull blade. And if you can listen to Hootie and the Blowfish while you're at it, so much the better. Well, this is coming together. I forgot to take the riser cover thickness off the back of those stringers. And at some point, it's going to come off and we'll have a piece of AZAC or otherwise like white PVC board as an appearance board there underneath the aluminum threshold to this exterior door. And yeah, that's the thing, see, because the siding would normally go down. I have to see how do we do that. Anyway, the point is, it's got to come off, and I got to take that thickness off those stringers. I'll leave this tread off as a result, both of them actually. I'm going to get my little router and put a little bevel on the top edge of these all the way around, and I can't get in here. Even without this attached, I can't get in there. I don't think the shoe will stop me tight on the router, sorry. I won't be able to finish until I let go here. So I only put 4 screws, the ones at the back, because I just had a feeling that I'd think of something. So I'll pull those, I'll route all 3 of these, set them aside, disconnect it from the house quick, tip it up and take 1.5 inches off the back of all 4 stringers, set it back down into those hangers, anchor the hangers, and fully pin down the treads, and then pack up and call it a day. Alright, that was relatively painless. I think it looks good. It's reminiscent of what was there before. Every step in that direction is best for these customers. A lot of times people don't want anything like the way it used to be. Sometimes, understandably, people like things to be, very much like they used to be. I'm just wondering now, however, time I played all around with everything here to get it level, we have an 7 and a touch, 5.5 here. So we got a real small step at the top. I wonder where that happened. When I took this off the back of the stringer, it moved the shoulder and the bend in the steel bracket from this position down. So effectively putting the new corner of the stringer back in the same bend in that steel bracket sent this up 1.5 inches. So 5.5, 6.5, 7, and that little bit extra is within the tolerance of the lumber and all that. So in shortening the stringer, it's got to move down some. There's going to be an aluminum threshold here, and so you want to remember that that's going to be a bit more of a step up, and that'll be the front and outside. So in the end, like if this was never coming back off, it would be set just fine for me due to that aluminum threshold. But as I've already said, it's coming off to get the front of the entryway finished and stuff. So at that point, we'll have the door in, and then I will be careful to set the steps, obviously, quite, perfectly, or whatever you want to call it. We've also got some grading to do here. I would rather this didn't sit in the dirt. I think what I'd like to see here are just some pavers on the sort of centered on the bottom end of the outer two stringers. I think the two in the center they don't need to land on the ground. We got tons of vertical strength in the riser face and in the tread, even if it's lying flat there. So there's no danger of it being too bouncy in the middle, I don't think. But I think we end up wanting, what do we got to do? Come down. So that would put this about 1.5 inches, which is what those are. That would put this touching the ground. So in the end, we're going to have to just carve a little bit away there and just see that, I just want a 1/2 inch or something between the gravel and the bottom edge of this, and have the pavers holding it up that much. So things can get breezy and dried, and then when you get it, I'm going to buy Edward a leaf blower. Another thing I'm going to give him as a gift, but you've got to leaf blow, especially this here. It's a box, and you're going to end up with stuff stuck in there, so you got to poke the leaf blower in, and just a litany of things that he will never do. Same as blowing out the leaves from the window wells all the time. So like I say, this will let people come and go this weekend, next week, and then when we get down to buttoning this up permanent, we'll just get it dialed perfectly. But at this point, I can go back and close up, which is to say put some plywood scraps over the egress window hole, pack up my tools and stuff, and bust out of here for the weekend. Lots of stuff to do at home. Things are brewing. Doing some video of that stuff, but it's going to be a bit before you guys see that. I'm not going to turn on battery saver. Well, everybody, thanks for bearing with me here. It's been a little tricky coming and going to get this idea rocking and rolling. The heat guys are back next week early, and I'm going to probably jump into potable water plumbing with our next episode. I think that's what that'll be. And so this will have to probably wait until later on next week, if not another completely different episode after that. Oh, and the gutter guy, he better be calling me pretty soon here. But that's all been locked in for a great price. So we're going to do gutters at some point too. Maybe that'll even happen next week. Who knows? Listen, everybody, thanks for watching. We'll see you.